Good afternoon. This is LALATE with a rushed recording live from Los Angeles. You see, I'm literally coming to the studio in a rushed recording. The rushness of this recording is indicative of what we're enduring this morning, or at least on the East Coast. As I turn on lights in the studio, rushing in, grabbing whatever I can come on camera with you. There is currently a siege at the U.S. Capitol, something never seen in the history of anything. Let me flip the camera. It is really shocking. You will see the magnitude of what's in storing in just a second. But boy, I was not supposed to be in the studio. I'm rushing in here and I'm not live on Instagram as well. But boy, and I'm not certainly wearing what I was expected to wear on camera. But the breaking news minutes ago is that I don't even have audio on. So that would help as well. Boy, what a day it is. Hold on 1 second. My goodness. Let me see if I can even grab the audio. I can kill the audio this way. Let me kill the feed and I'll be right back. Let me kill the feed. I'll be right back. Can you hear me? Let me just do it this way. Let me do it by unmicrophone. You see the magnitude of the severity of the situation. In fact, the magnitude is so severe that for the first time in this channel, I'm actually unmiked. So I'm going off of the microphone of the camera because this is a rush recording. I appreciate you for joining me, and wow, I'm glad I did not kill the audio. What's happening right now is members of the Trump supporters, MAGA, have now stormed the U.S. Capitol, are in the U.S. Capitol, are actually in the building, in the Senate floor. Members of the Senate leadership had to be rushed out, and immediately Mike Pence, the VP, who was actually on the Senate floor, had to be taken to a secure situation. This is amidst the President of the United States sending out nasty tweets attacking the Vice President as rioters went heading to where Mike Pence was located. This is a shocking development. I don't think ever in the history of my existence on this planet have I seen anything quite like this, and this is why I'm rushing on camera. Shortly about half an hour ago, we started to see a series of protesters for a Trump rally organized by the Trump administration, organized by Donald Trump, getting closer to the Capitol steps, the U.S. Capitol, where the Congress is located, where the Senate is located, where the House of Representatives is located. At the same time, the Senate was actually in session. The Senate was actually in session. I was watching a very, very well eloquent statement by Chuck Schumer talking about issues, and they were talking about the Electoral College, certifying the Electoral College. And he was referring to an inner circle of about 10, 12 Republicans who include the sort of mentally off-kilter Josh Hawley, who thinks that there is a legal process to invalidate the Electoral College. It's legally inept, and as an attorney, he should know better, as Susan Collins once said. And Chuck Schumer said there's an attempted coup d'etat. An attempted coup d'etat underway by a certain finite number of Republicans, about 11. This is what was unfolding at the time. Now, at that moment, there was actually no one on federal property. It is legal to protest on the gardens around the Capitol building. It is legal to voice one's opinion and express one's opinion on the land outside of the federal property. But that changed very quickly. The Trump protesters then went on to federal property. They first went on to the flat concrete area underneath the steps of the Capitol. Then they broke through Capitol security grounds and went onto the steps of the Capitol. Never in the history of this country, in nearly, I would say, almost 80, 90 years, have we seen anyone on the steps of the Capitol that does not belong there. The people that are in charge of maintaining the peace of the Capitol are the Capitol Police. But the magnitude of the number of people on the steps far exceeded the number of people for the Capitol Police. The Capitol Police was actually pulled back. There was thousands, if not tens of thousands of people on the Capitol steps. At that point, I got this feed ready and I knew I was going to go on camera. I thought the protesters were just going to stay on top of the steps of the Capitol building. It got worse. It got worse. Shortly as you saw me accidentally press record on this video, I was so frantic because the protesters had then entered the Capitol building. The protesters, the MAGA protesters, have now sieged, have broken the security lines, have entered the Capitol building, which was not open to the public in any circumstance. This is federal land. It is a federal crime. It is a federal offense, and entered the federal building. They then entered the Senate building as well. This immediately caused an enormous concern. You saw double video feeds going out, one on the outside of the federal building, people trying to storm into the Capitol building like it's a tennis shoe store owner on Melrose during a ride in Los Angeles, like they're trying to get tennis shoes, storming in, then coming into the floor of the Senate, where there's a room where they have a wonderful series of statues honoring former leaders of this country, walking around like they are pure anarchists at their very best. These are deranged, anarchist, illegal criminals doing things that have no place but to create anarchy. At this point, the president could stop this. The president of the United States could stop this, but as CNN said minutes ago, he enjoys it. To quote CNN, he enjoys watching this. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. It is anarchy at its very core. I don't care what you call it, it's anarchy. At that point, the protesters headed towards the Senate floor. Now, we understand these senators. Some of them we don't like. Some of them we do like. But ultimately, this is not a place to threaten senators. Senators had to go on a lockdown. These are people who are elected to serve our country. They are not to be threatened. They are to be treated with respect and decency, even if we don't agree with their ideals. They had to go on a lockdown. Very scary. Among some of the senators who sent out tweets, which I certainly cannot confirm. I can only repeat what their tweets were from the senators. They were given reports of explosions, given reports of sounds, pipe bomb type things. Some were told to immediately evacuate. Some were told to go on to lockdown. If you are watching C-SPAN or any feed from the Senate floor, they were in the middle of actual live debate. When this happened, they had to rush Mike Pence to a secure environment. He's the vice president. He was on the Senate floor because he has to vote on the issue. They had to come in and rush people out. In fact, you saw video of people coming into the Senate floor. It's unclear whether they were staffers telling people to rush out or whether they were protesters. It was chaotic. It was chaotic. It looked like a riot in any sense of the word. Whether you call it a riot, a siege, a coup d'etat, those are the actual words that Chuck Schumer had said earlier when he was debating on the floor. It's insane. This is insane. And if you're just joining me at the 9-minute mark, I'm going to have an update about 2 minutes from now. This is not how you consider peaceful transfer of power. There have been a lot of chatter for weeks and months. Is Trump going to leave? Is Trump going to do this? Is Trump going to do that? That's one thing. That's his issue. But having anarchists siege our Capitol and deface and create chaos and threaten elected officials is disgusting. This is not the form of what this country is. This is not a third world country. This is a democracy, and you do not treat people like this. And this is unacceptable. And any Republican who keeps their mouth shut, or any Democrat that keeps their mouth shut during this situation, is a disgrace as well. These are people who should not be involved with this sort of reckless mindset. Now, The issue is the safety and concern of the elected officials, the safety and concern of the people that were in the building, staffers, the concerns for people who are federal employees who are neither elected officials nor staffers. They are absolutely fearing for their lives. They are on lockdown. They are being arrested. They are being some were escorted out of the building as quickly as possible. Some were taken to secure environments. This is not what this government is about. This is not what this country is about. And ultimately, your voices should be heard. Your voices should, freedom of speech should be embraced, but not when you default to anarchy. And so this is what's absolutely shocking. I was not expecting to go live at this time, but now at the 10-minute mark, let me give you a big update. The big update live from Los Angeles is in a rushed recording. I am now sitting in a studio in a way in which I was not prepared to do because of a major developing event occurring in Washington. Minutes ago, I was preparing to actually do a special broadcast before home LALATE, which usually appears at 12:30, when protesters from a Trump MAGA rally had gotten onto federal property. At that point, I saw a need to go live, but I thought that was the end of it. They had started with a protest, peaceful, legal, on non-federal land. Certainly legal under the Constitution. They can express their opinions at any time. Freedom of speech is one of the core virtues of this country. But they took it the other level. They went onto federal property, the Capitol property. They started on the initial grounds around the Capitol, platform before you get to the steps. And then they breached the steps. Then they went onto the steps. Never in nearly 60, 70, 80 years of reporting has any journalist that's currently alive now has ever seen anarchists on the steps of the U.S. Capitol. Steps of the U.S. Capitol. At that point, I rushed into the studio, grabbing the audio, grabbing the microphone, and I actually even pressed live when I wasn't even live, wasn't even dressed or with microphone in hand. So I went live with whatever audio I had, and then the situation got far worse. The protesters, the anarchists, the criminals sieged the Capitol building. Capitol Police were overwhelmed. Why? Were they called back? Were they intentionally called back? There was tens of thousands of protesters, not hundreds. Tens of thousands. It was clearly plotted. It was clearly planned. It was not impromptu. This is sort of along the lines of where the protests in Los Angeles were, where they had the protests right next to the richest stores and the fanciest stores. So as soon as they were ready to hit, they could hit as fast as they could hit. This was a plotted out plan to siege the U.S. Capitol. And then they went in. They went into the U.S. Capitol. The U.S. Capitol is closed to the public. Moreover, the entrances to the U.S. Capitol are not open to even government employees through those doors. So they enter through doors that were locked since the pandemic started. They then continued. They headed to the Senate floor. They headed to the Senate floor where the leaders of this country, even the Vice President, Mike Pence, was there. Mike Pence had to be rushed out by security. As Mike Pence is being rushed out by security, what's happening? The President of the United States is egging on the protesters by sending out nasty tweets slamming Mike Pence. Slamming Mike Pence for not supporting him. It's absolutely shocking. Mike Pence was on the Senate floor, which you know is not a particularly large room. He was escorted out. Other elected officials, other senators were on the Senate floor. They were negotiating and debating the certification of the Electoral College, and they were having to be rushed out. At that point, it became pandemonium. At that point, it became a mixture of where to go. Some senators were rushed out of the building. Capitol Police were able to get some of the senators out of the building as fast as possible. Other senators had to bunker down or told to go into lockdown in their offices and lock the doors. Others, including staffers, were just left to fend for themselves. And of course, there's federal employees who work in the Capitol building who don't have the wonders of Capitol Police, don't have the wonders of private guards or things like that elected officials have. Those individuals, we don't know their safety. Then came the video feed. The video feed showed the floors of the Capitol building. Protesters, rioters, whatever you call them, anarchists, walking around inside the Capitol building like it's the tennis shoe store on Melrose in Los Angeles to loot whatever they want to take. What were they there for? What were their plans? Hard to say. Initial video when I went live, I was not able to yet see any defacing or vandalism of the Capitol floor. I saw a lot of walking around. But some of the senators did send out tweets that are not confirmed. I will repeat again, not confirmed. Some senators sent out tweets that they heard about things like pipe bombs, explosions, sounds. We don't know where that issue is. As viewers are asking, where were the police? The Capitol Police were not numbered in highest. They were outnumbered. There was 10,000 anarchists surging into the Capitol building. They were overwhelmed. And this is just shocking. Later, as I started to go on camera, Capitol Police started to show up. But it is unclear. I do not know enough about the Capitol Police, if they have enough Capitol Police on staff to deal with 10,000 anarchists inside of a building, outside of a building, around the building, and around the perimeter. There's currently people in the building who are anarchists. There are currently people on federal property who are anarchists. And it's absolutely shocking. It's shocking. This is not what this country's about. This is not what something's about. There have been reports of other things. I see Balua's comment. Thank you, Spalua. You know, the problem when I go live on camera is this is me reporting what has happened 16 minutes before I went on camera. So if anything has happened in the last 16 minutes that I went on camera, I don't know. Who threw Pence on the bus? The President of the United States did. Pence was on the Senate floor, with the senators, because that's his role as the vice president. The vice president is the president of the Senate by the Constitution. He was on the Senate floor, and he was going to vote against the effort of people like Toomey and Johnson and Josh Hawley to invalidate the Electoral College. He was going to vote against it. He was going to vote against the movement because it's a joke. It's a disgrace. And at that point, President Donald Trump started sending out angry tweets against Mike Pence, his vice president. They're in this Capitol building shooting gas now. Wow. Who's shooting the gas? So this is all shocking. You know, it's just, this was not what I planned to be recording today. This is not what I planned to be recording today. What I was planning to record just shortly, as I was going to do a special report for viewers who have TurboTax and for viewers who have H&R Block. It's turning into a real hot mess express. You are not alone. I have you in my wishes and my heart, and I want to do a separate broadcast for you, because that issue about people not getting a stimulus check until their 2020 tax return is filed is insane. It's insane. So I'm going to do a separate broadcast for that if I have time. Otherwise, it'll just merge into Home LALATE, which would normally be at this hour. And I know a lot of viewers have not gotten their check and will not be getting their check from these companies because of a real trouble in brewing. What a day it is. What a day it is. Thank you for joining me. Now, as we come up on the 20-minute mark, I want to give you the update where we are. The update is within the last half hour, a riot, a siege, a coup d'etat, an anarchist, whatever you call it, is happening in the Capitol building, the rotunda, the Senate floor, the House floor. Anarchists, Trump supporters have broken security lines, multiple security lines, to enter the Senate building and threaten the livelihood of elected officials. It is a disgrace. Let me give you a recap where it started. Earlier today, a Trump-organized MAGA rally, which was lawful, which was on D.C. property, not on federal land, totally lawful, commenced. But then it went very dark. What happened was they headed towards the Capitol building, which is federal property. It is against the law to protest on the Capitol property. It's Capitol, it is federal land. They first went on to the grounds before the concrete of the Capitol building. They were then committing the crime. Then they went on to the floor, the concrete, before you get to the steps. And at that point, viewers were shocked. I was shocked. I rushed to grab the camera. I grabbed the audio, and I was heading to the studio. I wasn't prepared to go on camera. As you can see, I wasn't dressed. I wasn't even prepared. By the time I got to the studio, I accidentally pressed record, not even dressed, not even with audio in my ears, because they had entered the Capitol building. Shocking. I don't think in 100 years have we seen rioters storm the Capitol building. They went up the Capitol steps. They overwhelmed Capitol Police, whose duty is to protect the Capitol building, and then they entered the Capitol Rotunda. They entered the Capitol Rotunda. They went in an entrance to the Capitol Rotunda that has been closed for COVID, so it's not even open for elected officials. They don't enter that way. At that time, elected officials were on the floor of the Senate debating the Electoral College, debating certification of the election. And at that time, Chuck Schumer says, this is a shameful attempt at a coup d'etat. That was before the rioting occurred. And then the rioters, the anarchists, entered the Senate floor. Mike Pence, the Vice President of the United States, was on the Senate floor. On the Senate floor because he's the president of the Senate. That's how the vice president serves under the Constitution. He had to be rushed by Secret Service out of the Senate floor as quickly as possible to protect his safety. At the time that the Secret Service is protecting Mike Pence's safety, the president is inspiring anarchy by saying Mike Pence is a disgrace. The president is going on a Twitter tirade against his own vice president. It continues, however. Then the senators who are on the floor, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, people you support, people you don't support, but people you don't threaten their lives with, had to be rushed out. Some went into a secure environment. Some were rushed out of the building. It's a mixture. Capitol Police were able to rush some senators out of the building. Some were told to bunker down and go into lockdown in their offices. You have to understand the federal building. This is a federal building. There are federal employees in there. There's commissaries. There's cooks and there's chefs. They don't all have the benefits of having private security. They are lifetime employees that make $25,000 a year or $30,000 a year. They live paycheck to paycheck. They are federal employees. Their lives were jeopardized by these anarchists, who in the video shows them strolling around. Now, we don't know the magnitude of the anarchy just yet, because I came on camera at that point. I do not know if there's vandalism. I don't know if there's any type of explosions beyond the claims of a couple senators who said they heard explosions. And we don't know. USMC is on standby. Thank you, Eric Rogers. It's a scary moment. It's a bad moment. It's nothing that anyone has ever seen in the history of this country. It is uncalled for. And the question is, how quickly can the Capitol be secured and put onto a safe environment? That safe environment is not happening right now. I'll be back live in about 5 minutes again with a second recording. The second recording will continue this and perhaps slide back into stimulus. But this is far from over. I hope it's over very soon. The National Guard needs to be coming in as soon as possible, and this is absolutely unacceptable. Thank you for your kindness and your graciousness in a rushed recording. This is LALATE.